The Avinu Malkeinu mic is on.
Okay, when do you want the PowerPoint to be?
Between annual meeting and the service.
What'd you say?
Between the annual meeting and the service.
Okay.
So when they finish with this meeting, the PowerPoint can come on.
Okay, so after this meeting.
Correct. Thank you.
Oh, I mean, which one?
Hold on. I don't want to start with
So can you do my code? Can you do my code off the conflict? Yeah. Director of mobility. That's fine. Can you do that? Huh? Okay, great.
You'll start first. It just goes better with this.
You just get it.
Beautiful.
Do you have it?
I got it.
2 minutes.
See you, Chief.
Thanks, Kid.
Start now.
Shabbat Shalom. It's good to get multiple responses for the first time in forever. Thank you all for joining us, those who are here and those who are watching at their home. In a way, this feels like a State of the Union to prepare for the future and to reflect about what we've done this past year. But first, what's appropriate at this moment for just a little of Torah to understand where we are, to make meaning of our lives. And Parshat Acholetecha, of course, it's about chaos and uncertainty in the wilderness. And of course, this comes with stories of upset and dissatisfied Israelites, which causes Moses to appoint elders to hear all these said complaints. There's much to learn about this Torah portion. Moses' ability not only to delegate, but to validate the needs of his congregation. He understood their pain and frustration and endeavored to solve each issue so that Am Yisrael, the people of Israel, would embrace Torah, holiness, mitzvot, especially without the fear. And in a way, the American synagogue life is much like the story. The importance of a lay leader, a president, who serves as this mosaic figure to reflect with congregants, always to listen to their needs and feedback, so that he or she can enhance their Jewish ethos, the ability to pivot, to delegate to the board so that we as a synagogue are a holy community, that we can enjoy the richness of our tradition through God, Torah, and Israel. I want to spend this moment briefly to offer my thanks on behalf of the senior team and staff. Both boards, the Temple Board and Grafman Endowment Board, have demonstrated passion, commitment, engagement, and always allow the staff to process, to grow, and to experiment, and to reflect our memories together. Being in synagogue leadership is probably the toughest in the Jewish nonprofit world. Robert, good luck at these 2 years. But you have many people to help you. It's not only about navigating the congregants, but having that zechut, the courage to give feedback to the staff and to the clergy. And this is always the hardest job as the president. First, as we talk about our board members, believe it or not, I've been in the synagogue in many years as an intern, Los Angeles and San Diego, and never have I seen such a passionate and engaging president. You were always there to pick up the phone, even during surgery. You were always there to reflect with me, to process, and we all know that this has been a challenging and difficult year. But you, Al, have always found a way to beautifully delegate, to engage in what we clergy call empathic listening. And I always told Rachel and my family that this board, its leader, Sharon, who's with us, is extraordinary. And Karen Gutchin and I and the staff, that we are so blessed to have a team that not only is there for us, holds us accountable in the best way. And Al, I know you go off into what we call syndication heaven as an immediate past president, but thank you so much for everything. Enjoy the vacation for the next 2 years. You deserve it. It's been a tough 2 years, but you are one of the main reasons this synagogue is standing firm and strong. A bit later, I know we'll celebrate your success. Robert, I want the congregation to know that we always talk roughly between 5:30 in the morning and 6:15 daily, but we as a staff have no doubt that you will be successful as the next president. The best thing about you is your ability to be empathic. You love this congregation, you love its staff, you love its history. This congregation is part of you. And though this is the most difficult thing that you'll probably take on in volunteer work, know that you're supported by your incredible family who are with you today. Everyone here is with you today. We have your back. It's going to be a great 2 years. You shall succeed. And I also want to thank Ginger Held, the president of our endowment fund, who this year had to rally, who had to pivot, who experimented, who was with us through every experience this year. Our relationship with the endowment is extraordinary. And without you, we wouldn't sound like this. We wouldn't be here. And thank you so much for all of your hard work to ensure Temple's future. I also want to thank people who are leaving our board. Aaron, your dad is probably really happy tonight, Ben, as he officially retires as Drew Wheel. And we also want to thank Eli Pinkhas, who has the second hardest job in the congregation, the person who looks at the numbers, our treasurer. Thank you so much for this year of taking out those readers and studying every single line in our budget. Thank you for your service. We also want to thank Heather Liebensberger and David Naumberg for their work in the Grafman Endowment Fund. But there's one name that we should mention who is leaving our board. It feels like she serves as the board for all of Jewish Birmingham, and that is Mrs. Ronnie Hess. And I know that you're watching with us at home tonight, but we started working together in January when I officially became the new rabbi here. You served as my transition director, and you're serving as Cantor Whitner's transition director. But you were the one who not only gave me feedback, you gave me that space to reflect and to grow and to question and to challenge. You're the embodiment of lay leadership. It's been a difficult year for us, but having you in that room, your presence, your ability to see everything from every single angle will be greatly missed. Though you're officially off the board, I am highly confident that our presidents from both organizations will rely on you to give us that needed advice in our most darkest hour. But thank you so much. And Robert, and I know we'll call the names, but Sharon is joining you, another president on your side. Not only will be fed well, but her institutional knowledge will help guide you and make you successful. And having her in the room is going to be a great advantage for our Temple family. And Alan, thank you again for letting us borrow your wife for another 2 years. The great teacher Rambam teaches us that the words of Torah heal the soul and not the body. And we learn Torah here at Temple Emanu-El. This place heals our soul. And we owe this to our incredible leadership who serves for the temple and the Grafman Endowment Fund. You are the reason that we all heal. Very much.
We are gifts and we are blessings. We are His story in song. We are hope and we are healing. We are learning to be strong. We are words and we are stories. We are pictures of the past. We are carriers of wisdom, not the first and not the last. Ledor vador, nagid od lecha. Ledor vador, we protect this chain from generation to generation. Ledor vador, these lips will praise your name. Looking back on the journey that we carry in our heart, from the shadow of the mountain to the waters that would part. We are blessed and we are holy. We are children of your way, and the words that bring us meaning will have the this chain. From generation to generation, door by door, these lips will praise your name.
Thank you, Rabbi, for your kind words. And let me just begin with the acknowledgement that one of the things that Temple leadership talks about on a regular basis is the concept of transparency with the congregation. And the annual meeting is really an important moment as it relates to that dynamic where the leadership can interface with our congregants and bring you up to speed about the state of our congregation and have you ask questions that get answered. And the fact that that can't be done right now is a loss that we recognize can't be avoided, but is the sad reality of the moment. We certainly want there to be an opportunity for all of you who are joining in cyberspace to ask questions of Temple leadership that may be prompted by the annual meeting tonight. There's an email address set up, communications@ourtemple.org. That's communications@ourtemple.org. For any questions that may be prompted by words spoken tonight, the Temple leadership and staff will certainly get back to you, and please use that as an interface for questions. As I type these words, I am anticipating delivering them in a near-empty synagogue to my Temple family who are connected to one another only by an internet connection. Here in June of 2020, there's a global pandemic that is affecting everything and everyone. In the city of Birmingham, it has not been a week yet since the cessation of mandatory active government curfews resulting from civil unrest in the face of bigotry, police brutality, and hatred. And some days lately, the world just feels like it's on fire. So, amidst the rubble, allow me to take this one shared moment and reassure each of you that despite the often scary present and the very unknown future, your temple is doing very well. That is not to say that Temple Emanu-El doesn't have its share of active challenges. Perhaps now more than ever, our temple may face its greatest challenge yet, as we seek to find relevancy in a world where rules are not the same as they once were. How does a temple increase engagement when we aren't advised to gather or learn or pray as we once did? Why is it even important to be a member at Temple Emanu-El, or a member of any temple for that matter? What does being a member of a Temple Emanu-El look like over the next several years? Trying to anticipate and be prepared for whatever our new temple normal will become requires open-mindedness, creativity, and readiness for multiple options. Adaptability and resiliency will become paramount, and accurate, foresighted financial planning remains critically important for our long-term sustainability. As we've done for over a century, Temple Emanu-El will continue to address its challenges with the collective wisdom and support of our devoted temple families, clergy, staff, and lay leadership. Our fiscal year began full of excitement with our new senior rabbi finally in place after a 2-year focused search. Just prior to the high holidays, the sudden and unexpected resignation of our long-standing cantor was a devastating moment for all of us, and such an impactful loss required quick pivoting in order to provide the necessary pastoral care and musical oversight that our 600+ families had come to rely on. As if it might have been beshert, Temple Emanu-El just so happened to have a spare cantor emeritus sitting in the pews davening with us on a regular basis. I cannot begin to express the extent of my gratitude to Cantor Bernie Gutchin for his willingness to immediately step in and step up to perform high holiday services, lead our weekly Shabbat services, and seamlessly prepare the 20-plus scheduled B'nai Mitzvah students that our temple was tasked with educating over this past academic year. The number of hours he has happily spent working on behalf of our temple is only overshadowed, lost my place, sorry, Cantor Bernie, great, he is great. I cannot begin to express the extent of my gratitude to Cantor Gutchin for his willingness to step in and step up to seamlessly prepare the B'nai Mitzvahs that our temple was tasked with educating over this past academic year. The number of hours he has happily spent working on behalf of our temple is only overshadowed by his humility and his willingness to help however he is asked. Cantor Bernie will continue to work at our temple over the next 6 months in order to facilitate a seamless transition as we prepare to welcome the latest high-profile addition to our temple family, Cantor Robbie Whitner. Temple leadership, staff, and clergy all join the unanimous perspective of each of the members of the Cantorial Search Committee in the certainty that Cantor Whitner is everything we could possibly hope for in the individual tasked with the job of serving as our temple's next cantor. His resume is notably impressive, and he is notably easy to talk to. I am told that when our senior-most search committee member, Hal Abrams, heard Robbie sing in our sanctuary during his visit, he told Robert Levin and Amy Kessler, our co-chairs, that this guy's the one. Well, I am in full agreement with Hal. Our temple is overjoyed to welcome Cantor Whitner and his delightful wife, Alex, to our temple family, and I, for one, am very excited to look up at our bima over the next several years to watch and learn from the powerhouse clergy partnership that will inevitably blossom with Rabbi Wright and Cantor Whitner at our helm. Each of our clergy is a superstar within their respective graduating classes and respective professional fields. Let me dispel the rumor that it is impossible for a medium-sized Southern temple in Alabama to attract high-caliber 5-star talent to guide their congregation through its critical future. I am proud to say that for the first time in 5 years, our temple is not searching for any unfilled clergy position. This has been long in the making. As we are accustomed to and desire, Temple Emanu-El now has 2 full-time, non-interim clergy that will be here with us for the next foreseeable years to take care of us, to pray with us, to teach us, to sing with us, and to help us grow as Jews. We as a temple look forward to welcoming Cantor Whitner to our bima with more appropriate hospitality and fanfare as the world around us permits us to do so. I know that you will hear more detail about our finances when our treasurer speaks, but I would be remiss if I did not offer some commentary about our financial picture at our annual congregational meeting during a time of such uncertainty. While this year has had its financial challenges, I'm extremely proud of our accounting department and our overall financial position, despite some very unique challenges that have been specific to this year's operational budget. When we began this current fiscal year, our budget projected an anticipated deficit of close to $71,000. While clearly undesirable to have a negative budget, this was done with the blessing and partnership of the Grafman Endowment Fund, who partnered with the temple at the time of our rabbinical search to provide 3 years of supplemental financial operational support, assuming the temple remained within its budget, polished up its processes and language surrounding dues collections, and worked to find additional alternative means to generate revenue so that perhaps this supplemental support funding might be lessened or even deemed unnecessary. As you will hear from our treasurer, I'm happy to report to you that thanks to the effort of our temple staff and our accounting office, our temple was able to do substantially better than we anticipated with regards to both expected expenses and anticipated revenues. Our annual dues income is on track to exceed projections by over $20,000, and we've generated an additional $24,000 to offset security expenses with the addition of our security assessment this year. Additional revenue was generated this year by virtue of our space rental arrangement with the BHEC, and across almost all categories, our expenses have been within or below budget. As a result of these better than expected revenue streams and expense savings, Temple Emanu-El would have been on track to not need any of the supplemental Grafman funding that we were prepared to need at the beginning of the fiscal year. Unfortunately, this year had several extraordinary expenses that impacted our bottom line in ways that were not expected. This year we incurred legal expenses beyond what we had budgeted, and there were significant unbudgeted expenses connected with both severance and the need to hire an interim cantor. These items were a significant unforeseen expense. Additionally, this past year saw the unfortunate and sad closure of our preschool program, the Discovery School. The amazing experiment known as the Discovery School, born and nurtured by our beloved Rabbi Lila Haas, was a wonderful fit for the Temple's mission to serve as a house of prayer for all people. In addition to providing a net profit revenue stream to our Temple for years, it provided a customized pre-K product that was a wonderful fit for both our Temple families and our non-Jewish Birmingham neighbors. Over the past several years, the Discovery School budget was isolated and analyzed as a specific entity, and it became apparent that the existing business model was financially non-sustainable. The decision to close the Discovery School was further impacted by the COVID pandemic, where teachers were kept on payroll as long as possible despite the lack of enrollment income resulting from statewide school closures. The Discovery School did have a savings account that was depleted to lessen the impact of losses, but the overall impact on our budget was substantial as a result of the unique issues surrounding this year. Similar losses are not anticipated next year because, unfortunately, the school is no longer in existence. Our deficit this year is largely, if not entirely, the product of Discovery School losses and monies spent to address our unexpected cantorial needs. The losses incurred by the Temple as a result of these extraordinary circumstances are fortunately able to be covered by our reserve account, which was put into place and has been maintained and nurtured for exactly such a set of unanticipated circumstances. We expect our reserve account to be replenished by whatever funds we receive from our PPP grant money, and Temple leadership remains fully committed to a neutral budget that stands on its own without the need for the 3-year supplemental Grafman funding to balance its operational budget. While next year's budget does again show an anticipated projected loss, the near entirety of this deficit is due to a one-time expense associated with how we agreed to distribute payments to our interim cantor this past year, and leadership believes that this gap can again be narrowed as it was this past year. I remain so very thankful to Eli Penhas, who has served as our treasurer this past year. Eli truly performed a yeoman's job handling the many complex and time-consuming issues that were placed before him. Robin Gottlieb, Danielle Barnett, Lori Wheel, Rebecca Wasatsky deserve special gratitude for their ability to work as a team on behalf of our Temple. It has been my greatest pleasure to work with Temple leadership on a budget for next year that radically restructures the Temple administrative staff in such a manner that allows for our Temple to prioritize its limited dollars so that they are spent on programmatic personnel while redistributing dollars associated with administrative personnel in such a manner that allows for our budget to now be a more true reflection of our mission and purpose. For the first time in our Temple's history, we have budgeted and funded the critical position of Director of Membership and Engagement. In years past, this position was funded by private donors outside of our operational budget. Monica Singletary has happily agreed to continue her wonderful work at our temple with increased responsibilities for the coming year, and I have high expectations that the relevancy of this position will be confirmed as we watch this role grow in successful, forward-thinking congregations across the country. I am thankful to Monica for her tireless commitment to our temple family, and I look forward to watching her role mature and evolve with the needs of our temple. In addition to 2 fantastic clergy and an energetic and capable engagement director, we have also secured the educational expertise of the amazingly accomplished Linda Gutchin for yet an additional year. She will remain a stable, trusted, familiar face that will facilitate a seamless entry into our upcoming school year while we seek to ease Cantor Whitner's transition by minimizing other new members in simultaneous transition on the senior team. In addition to providing another year of engaging education, Linda will also serve as our temple liaison this coming year as we seek to find a more permanent individual to take over the critical job of educational director the following year when no other senior leadership position is in flux. Our religious school this past year had multiple highlights, including community programs, grade-level family programs, and school-wide programs. Each grade also participated in a community-based mitzvah project. Grade-appropriate, content-based curriculum continues to be stressed at our religious school, and our school is readying itself to handle the possibility for virtual learning and other alterations to the school year based on what the world looks like at the end of the summer. As I've previously stated, Linda is a consummate professional, and our temple is so very blessed to have her in charge of our educational curriculum. As referenced, temple leadership has been hard at work analyzing the feasibility of an administrative restructure at our temple so that we can prioritize and fund the type of personnel who will allow us to maximize our programmatic offerings while still working to make sure that the details of day-to-day operations are still addressed and appropriately redistributed across staff to make for improved efficiency and allow for budgetary cost savings. I am so very confident about the forthcoming leadership transition team, and each of us should rest easy in the knowledge that next year's slated temple's officers and board of directors are both knowledgeable about temple operations and capable of handling any issue that comes before them. I cannot say enough wonderful things about my good friend Robert Berman. He will be a steady and thoughtful leader, and I have relied on him heavily during the course of my term. He provides excellent counsel and unquestionably has the best interest of our temple in the forefront of his decision-making. I am thankful to my executive board, Ben, Robert, Charlie, Barbara, Lisa, and Eli. I drafted Sharon Goldstein and Ronnie Hess as my presidential appointees, and so much of what I learned and how I responded to situations these past 2 years has been a direct consequence of their sage advice and good counsel. Thank you, Ronnie and Sharon, for being such a foundation of support to me. Thank you to each and every member of our board of directors, and thank you to each of our congregants who step into leadership roles on the many various committees and small groups at our temple. Serving in this presidential role has allowed me to witness the love and passion that so many of us have for our temple, and your temple thanks you for your service. I do not know what our temple looks like next year as we walk together during these uncertain times. I do know that your temple is ready and prepared for whatever challenges lay before us. As temple leadership gives thought to how and when we can once again open our doors to gather and worship as we once did, I am wholeheartedly confident in the individual's task of looking out for our collective best interest. As we continue to dialogue with authorities in the medical community, we hope and aspire to begin transitioning towards some semblance of a reopening in July. And we have every intention to focus on the safety and feasibility of a thoughtful and meaningful, albeit hybridized, high holiday season. Know that the partnership between the temple leadership and the Grafman Endowment Board leadership has never been more aligned. Jan Blitz and her talented board remain unwavering partners in the growth and sustainability of temple life, and our two entities continue to work together in synchrony. We will continue to partner together with all relevant stakeholders to further our efforts at optimizing security considerations over this coming year, and our temple has applied for grant monies that we hope to receive to further our commitment to protect our congregation. The temple's mission to engage in Tikkun Olam has never been more important, whether a result of the global pandemic or the national outrage to police brutality and racial injustice. There are many individuals in our community and our world in need of healing, and as Jews, we are called upon to right injustice and help those who are suffering. Our temple has overcome many obstacles and jumped many hurdles this past year. While our temple has clearly been at a transition point for the past several years, I dare say it feels like we have chosen our path and are walking towards the visible light at the end of this transition. We have two wonderful, dynamic new clergy and stable, committed leadership. We have a supportive endowment and a committed team of leaders willing to bring contemporary new approaches to modern-day temple issues. And with all of these resources at our disposal, we will continue to promote Jewish ideals, educate our community, and trailblaze issues of the day as the largest Reformed congregation in the state of Alabama. Great things are in store for this wonderful temple, and I look forward to the day when we can all be together in the same room to acknowledge that truth. Serving as president these past 2 years has been nothing less than a heartfelt labor of love. I am thankful for the opportunities that this role has afforded me, and I feel grateful to all the individuals who worked so tirelessly to ensure the betterment of this holy place. I wish each of you a healthy and enjoyable summer, and I hope that this message finds each of you safe and well. Shabbat Shalom.
Mr. Treasurer.
Thank you, Al. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. My name is Eli Pinhas. I joined the executive board of Temple Emanu-El last August to serve as your treasurer. It has been a very humbling experience, which I am proud to have been part of. Learning the ins and outs of the operation of our temple has been very eye-opening, and I have learned a lot in a very short time. It has been a privilege serving as your treasurer with our very dedicated board, staff, and volunteers. I would like to share what I have learned with you. I have been told and have learned that every year poses financial challenges. As I'm sure you will all agree, this past year has presented itself with situations that we have never experienced, both in our personal lives as well as at Temple Emanu-El. But rest assured that your board, with the help of the staff and volunteers, have worked on each challenge and made the very best decisions to move our temple forward. Some of the highlights this past year are as follows. After a 2-year search, we hired a new rabbi. For some of you, this is a first-time experience, having only been acquainted with Rabbi Miller for so many years. After 20 years, Cantor Roskin resigned from our temple. Again, likely a new experience for those who have joined us within the past 20 years. We hired an interim cantor, Cantor Gutchin, who has done a good job maintaining our traditions for both our weekly as well as our high holiday services. After carefully analyzing and considering all options, we made the decision to close our Discovery School. In the face of $108,000 in losses, partially offset by a $27,000 Discovery School fund, it was the appropriate and responsible action to take. Our building required maintenance. The replacement of our sanctuary roof and the repair of our congregational building roof accounted for an unexpected expense of over $136,000. We have been diligent about setting aside funds every month into a capital improvement fund for just such emergencies. We spent over $70,000 to substantially upgrade our sound system, which has been needed for a long time. Our engagement director over the past year was substantially funded with private donations. We raised $40,000 for our gala. Although we were forced to cancel it, we look forward to what the following year will bring. As security needs become more crucial during uncertain times, we were able to raise an additional $24,000 with a security assessment that has helped with our need for additional measures to secure the safety of our members and staff. Thank you to those dedicated members who have increased their annual dues commitment in support of our temple. As dues alone are not adequate to fund all of the services provided for by our temple, the endowment fund has provided us with over $460,000. This financial backing has provided for funding for our rabbi, cantor, education director, religious school programming, cemetery upkeep, our choir, webcast fees, our sound system, the beautiful flowers that we enjoy during the high holidays, the Break the Fast feast after Yom Kippur, and many, many more amenities that make membership in our temple so beneficial and rewarding. We applied for a small business loan under the CARES Act passed by Congress in late March and received the funding in mid-May. Under the stipulations of the loan and with continuing discussion with Congress, some of the loan will be forgiven at no cost to the temple. As Congress continues with its discussions and until more clarification is given, we will not know the full extent of this benefit until deliberations are concluded. Looking forward to our next fiscal year, 2020-2021, we welcome our new cantor, Cantor Robbie Whitner, and his wife Alex to our family. An exciting time for them as well as for Temple Emanu-El. Some notations regarding our upcoming fiscal year and new budget. We are in the process of restructuring our management staff to better streamline our operations. Income and expenses have been adjusted to reflect the impact of COVID-19. Endowment support is slightly reduced according to investment performance due to COVID-19, as is mandated by the endowment fund and its principles of allocation. You have all received the budget for our next fiscal year and have had the opportunity to look it over. Be advised that this is a summation comprised of hundreds of separate accounts that have been gone over individually for accuracy. Countless hours of work and due diligence has been put forth by our team in presenting these numbers. This collaboration was made possible, and I am very thankful for the following individuals: Danielle Barnett and Rebecca Wasatsky from our accounting department. Lori Wheel, who has provided an abundance of support to the temple for many years. Robin Gottlieb, our executive director. Jan Blitz and her staff from the endowment fund. Joel Piasek, your incoming treasurer for next year. And lastly, but not least, your temple board. Should you be interested in a more detailed summarization of our budget, feel free to contact Danielle Barnett in our accounting office. It has been an honor serving as your treasurer this year. Thank you.
It has been an honor to serve as your endowment fund president over the past year. This year has been one of transition, one of first, a year like we have never experienced before. As I stood before you on Yom Kippur morning, I spoke of the Grafman Endowment Fund's 40th year of supporting, enriching, and perpetuating Jewish life for all of our congregants through a strong and vibrant endowment. We had big plans for the coming year to commemorate this milestone by reaching out to secure 40 new legacy gifts. Our development committee was positioned to individually begin these conversations to help us reach this goal. And then the unimaginable happened. Our community was required to shut down and begin the stay-at-home period. Our efforts were put on pause. As the saying goes, man plans and God laughs. Even though our actions were paused, our endowment continued to provide needed funds to help sustain our temple. Because of the generosity and foresight of many of you, our donors, our Grafman Endowment Fund has had the discipline and policies in place to secure, in both good and bad economic times, that we are able to continue to provide a steady stream of income to the temple. Speaking on behalf of our board of directors, we are so proud of both the budget relieving dollars we provide, which accounts for over 20% of the temple's budget, and the numerous enhancements and special programs that we were able to bring to our congregation. Highlights of this past year are outlined in your pages 7 and 8 in the program that was sent out to each of you. Not only do we support with our dollars, but we also share the Grafman Endowment Fund staff and expertise with temple professionals and lay leadership. Jan and her very capable support team are a great resource for the temple. We thank them for their commitment and passion to our congregation. I want to thank Al, his executive committee, and the temple board for their tenacity in managing through the challenges that seem to hit at every turn. We appreciate the tireless efforts of Rabbi Wright and Cantor Gutchin to make this year of transition seamless. As we look forward, we're excited to welcome Cantor Whitner and his wife Alex into our temple family. And I'm looking forward to partnering with Robert as we continue to create a more vibrant temple as we navigate through these very different times. Also, I want to offer my sincere appreciation to our board members who will be coming off of the board this year, Heather Liebensberger and David Nomberg. We are grateful for your leadership and commitment to our endowment through your service on our board. It is my pleasure to present the following slate recommended for by our Grafman Endowment Board for ratification. Our officers will remain the same for one more year. I will continue as president, Andy Rodenstrike as Vice President, Neil Roth as our Treasurer, and Candy Myerson as Past President. Re-election of board members, Neil Roth for a 1-year term, Andrea Haynes for a 2-year term, Rick Roth and Jimmy Will for a 3-year term. And I'm pleased to announce 4 new board members that are coming on our board, and we're so excited to have them around our table. And they are all coming on for 3 years. Kenneth Bluestein, Ross Cohen, Carol Marcus Bazitz, and Sam Todd. Thank you.
Temple Emanu-El would also like to offer its proposed officers and slated board members for the fiscal year 2021. First, we'd like to acknowledge the outgoing board members from this past year. Members leaving our board currently, Drew Wheel, Eli Penhas, and Ronnie Hess. Officers slated for the 2021 term include Robert Berman as president, Charles Collette as president-elect, Barbara Alien as vice president, Adam Gordon as vice president, Lisa Bebenek as our secretary, Jill Piasek as our treasurer, Al Cohn as immediate past president. Also remaining as board members for the next fiscal year through various terms, Brian Kolbersch, Kit Roth, David Ashkenazi, Ashley Lewis, Amanda Sokol, Fran Gottschall, and Brittany Sag.
Please rise. And every generation has brought to the foot of the holy mountain by its leaders men and women of pure heart and shining vision in quest of blessing for all of humanity. Words came to them searching for God amidst the storms of life. They heard the still, small voice. Torah and the teaching came, was heard, and was transmitted. Through our synagogue, the tradition endures, thanks to all of you. Because of its leaders, the synagogue lives, and the symbol of the miracle, the survival, is Torah. And I'm going to ask Dr. Cohen to take the Torah from the ark, please, and to pass it to Robert.
Oshlosha devarim, Oshlosha devarim, Oshlosha devarim, Olam olam omen. Oshlosha devarim, Oshlosha devarim, Oshlosha devarim, Olam olam omen. Allah HaTorah ve'Allah Avodah ve'al yimim u'chasadim. Allah HaTorah ve'Allah Avodah ve'al yimim u'chasadim.
The sages teach us that Moses received the Torah on Sinai and transmitted it to Joshua, and Joshua to the elders to the prophets, and the prophets passed it on to the leaders of the great synagogue. And from that day, the Torah has been held aloft by the gentle yet committed hands of the leaders of all synagogues, be they great or be they small. The sages taught the leaders of the great synagogue 3 things: be deliberate in judgment, raise up many students, our disciples, Siaka Torah, and make a fence around the Torah. And they did for 2,000 years. The Jewish people have been guided by this ancient book. We honor it and cherish it as a link with our ancestors, as a symbol of our Judaism, saying the words that bound us together.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai
Board members, whether you're here or at home, if you'll please stand to acknowledge, stand as members of the upcoming board. In the name of Temple Emanu-El, we induct you as members of the Board of Trustees of our congregation. In your assumption of the duties of your office, you affirm the ancient democratic tradition of the Jewish people that the synagogue belongs to the congregation and serves the community. It is not the private domain of any special group which has the right to arrogate to itself exclusive authority to study, to teach, and to transmit the Torah. Your installation in office testifies to the strength of this tradition. You represent the congregation. We, its members, speak to you, and through you, your responsibility is our responsibility. Our portion in our common destiny is your portion. May the congregation at its highest and best ever speak through you. May the future of the synagogue be safeguarded by your labors and by your loyalty. Amen. In the name of Temple Emanu-El, we formally induct these members as officers and new board members of our congregation. You have come to a position of honor in the life of our temple. In your hands are placed affairs upon which the well-being of our congregation depends. Its welfare becomes your special responsibility, the overseeing of its work your particular task. May the spirit of Jewish life touch your labors, and may the harvest of your service be abundant in blessing for others and enrichment for yourselves. Amen.
Elohim, Elohim, Atenu, our God and God of our ancestors, we turn to you in prayer that we may know the sanctity of the ceremony in which we are participating. This is a great hour of the life of our synagogue. For on the Shabbos, we consecrate their work, the leaders of our congregation. We are thankful for these men and women, for their willingness to serve our incredible community, for their faithfulness to our great Jewish tradition, and for the qualities of mind and spirit which they bring into their task.
We have come to be installed, to assume the mantle of leadership. We have also come to remind ourselves of the high import and the precious value of our Jewish heritage. May we understand fully how serving the synagogue calls forth the best that is within us. As we assume our responsibilities for the many tasks of our congregation, may we be proud of our duty, dedicated to our responsibility, and enriched by our achievements. May we ever be faithful leaders of our people, watchful guardians of the best interest and good name of Temple Emanu-El. Moses received the Torah on Sinai, transmitted it to Joshua, and Joshua to the elders to the prophets, and the prophets to the leaders of the synagogue. We, the elected leaders of the synagogue, have come to the foot of Sinai, and we too utter the ancient words, Na'aseh v'nishma, we shall faithfully do.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Dr. Cohen, just one last thing. Sharon, you know.
Well, thank you. This is an incredible pleasure. And it really is so meaningful because I'm here to represent your board and your congregation. And you have been outstanding. And we appreciate you so dramatically. I hope you're leaving your presidency with a strong sense of how appreciated you are. And you have brought sunshine and reason to your presidency. And I thank you from the whole of your congregation for your leadership and your kindness, your neshama, which is beautiful. And in the heart of transparency, because you use those words so beautifully, There is nothing in here. It is on its way from Israel. It has not yet arrived, but it is to show you how appreciative and how meaningful you have been to all of us. Thank you very much, and I hope you can fill this with some weight.
Thank you. Green paper is plenty. As my last official moment on the microphone, so that we can just save a few emails, let me please also just read out the upcoming sisterhood and brotherhood boards that are going to be working closely with Temple leadership next year as well. For the sisterhood next year, their officers include Sylvia Wright as president, Leanne Nomberg as immediate past president. There is Lisa Bebenek, who's been slated for their vice president of communication, Norma Starr as vice president of their membership, Kit Roth, who is vice president of ways and means, Amy Chauvin, who's the treasurer, Susan Koretsky as corresponding secretary, Roxanne Travalut as the recording secretary, Cheryl Collat as social media chair, Adrian Dyer-Smith as the religious school liaison, with Allison Berman, Sharon Goldstein, and Lori Wheel as liaisons at large. Thank you to each of you in advance for your service for the coming year. Their names are in your program, but they're worthy of being read aloud, as are the upcoming Brotherhood officers. Stephen Leaf will be president. Brian McMillan will be the immediate past president. Aaron Nelson will serve as the role as vice president of engagement. William Lehman, this year's Mensch of the Year, will become vice president of membership. Benjamin Smith will serve as treasurer, and David Reese, Bill Goldman, and David Nomberg will serve as at-large members. Thank you to advance to each of the members who are willing to serve in leadership positions on those critical groups, and we look forward, Temple leadership looks forward to working with them next year. Thank you.
Now, that Kiddush cup is for wine and not packing.
Good Shabbos. Well, the training wheels are off, and I cannot wait to get started as your Temple president. Beyond serving my family, this is the single greatest privilege of my life. The past year for Temple has been quite challenging. We have faced tremendous headwinds and have thoughtfully navigated our way through them. Just so you know, my plan is for tailwinds. I'm well aware that plans change, and I assure you that your Temple board is ready. We will face challenges that come our way and pivot as needed. That's what we do. Recently, a colleague shared with me that while the world has been put on pause, strategically nimble organizations are in a bee swarm of activity, redefining their needs, processes, and procedures. I see our Temple positioned in the middle of the bee swarm in a very positive way. For the last 90+ days, we have been redefining the roles of our Temple staff. This has been a collaborative process between staff and leadership to ensure that we have a productive team working to its peak of efficiency. These new roles will enhance our ability to meet the evolving needs of our congregation. In just 3 weeks, we welcome our new cantor, who will teach us new ways to worship through music. Cantor Whitner, in partnership with Rabbi Wright, are truly the dynamic duo. Our clergy and senior staff will continue to reach out to our entire Temple family. The program will target our children, our teenagers, our young adults, our baby boomers, and our seniors. Opportunities for all to engage will be plentiful, but you, making Temple a priority in your family's life, is what will continue to strengthen us, today and for the future. I want to thank those whose board service term is ending. This includes Drew Will, Ben Will, Eli Penhas, and Ronnie Hess. Their guidance has been invaluable, and each has my sincerest thanks. For the coming year, we have an incredible board and executive committee. Our goal is to focus on strategy and vision and not become bogged down in daily operations. This will be achieved as our senior staff expands their responsibilities in the day-to-day oversight and management. We have a talented group, and they are ready to roll up their sleeves and work tirelessly to ensure that Temple Emanu-El is the absolute best it can be. In closing, I want to thank Al Cohn. I'm not thanking Al for his service to the Temple, though that has been exceptional. My thank you is personal. Al allowed me to team up with him on so many issues. This has set me up to hit the ground running without skipping a beat. Al, Temple owes you a debt of gratitude, as do I. Again, it is an honor and privilege to serve our Temple family as president. Please reach out to me with your questions and concerns, and also let us know what we are doing right. I look forward to working with you and for you. I also look forward to the day when we attend Shabbat services again in our gorgeous sanctuary. And now, in my first official capacity, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Shabbat shalom and good health to each of you.
We still get to pray. So we'd like to let Robert, the First Lady, and Davis come on up as I light our Shabbat candles as we begin our service on page 9. Mr. President, hold up that Kiddushkop as we rise together to page 10.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei b'bri ha'ofen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kinshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho b'yahava u'ratzon hina bilanu, zikaron le'maseh v'reishit, ki hu yom tehillah l'nikra'ei kodesh, zeiter l'tziat Mitzrayim, ki banu v'avarta, v'ilkanu higashta, v'kohanim, v'shabbat kodshecha, v'yahava u'ratzon, v'notanu, Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha-Shabbat.
Now you know our trick. Remain standing and we turn to the bottom of page 11.
Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Yalalai, 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 Amen.
Please be seated. The top of page 13. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, whose word brings on the evening, whose wisdom opens heaven's gates, and whose understanding changes the time and seasons, and orders the stars in their heavenly constellations according to divine will. God creates day and night, rolling away light in the face of darkness, and darkness in the face of light, causing the day to pass, and bringing on the night, separating day and night. Al-Chai v'kayam tamid niloch aleinu le'olam ba'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, Hamariv Aravim. Page 14.
Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Open up our eyes, teach us how to live, fill our hearts with joy and all the love you have to give. Gather us in peace as you lead us to your name, and we will know that you are one. We will know that you are one. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod, Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Moed. Me'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha v'chol nafshecha v'chol me'odecha nehayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha
ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם המזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
The bottom of page 18. And finally, to remember just why all these things matter. They matter because I, Adonai Elohecha, brought you and your children out of Egypt to be God for you. I am your God. And when you do these things, I will be your children's God. The bottom of page 20. As a matter of truth and of faith, we proclaim that Adonai is our God and there is none else. And we are Israel, God's people. God has freed us from the grip of earthly rulers. Our sovereign redeemed us from the fists of tyrants. God has done great things and countless wonders that surpass our understanding. Given us life, we have not stumbled. God has given us miracles to overcome Pharaoh, signs and wonders in the land of Egypt. And from their midst, Israel was brought to eternal freedom. When the children of Israel witnessed the divine power, they extolled God, gave thanks, and accepted God's dominion. And with great joy, Moses and all Israel sang this song.
Ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la la la. Mi amo Abba Elim Adonai, mi amo Haneder Bakodesh, Torah Tehillo Osefele, Torah Tehillo Osefele. Mahakot Hara Uvanecha, Bokeya Yevim Hashem, Ze'edi Anu Ve'amru, Ze'edi Anu Ve'amru, Adonai Yimloch Le'olam Ha'ed, Adonai Yimloch Le'olam Ha'ed. Mikhamocha Elim Adonai, Mikhamocha Nehedar HaKodesh, Torah Tehillo Osefele, Torah Tehillo Osefele. Ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la. ונאמר כי פודו אדוני את יעקב ולא מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גא ישראל.
The top of page 23. Adonai, our God, caused us to lie down in Shalom and raise us up, our sovereign, to life. And cover us with the sukkah of your peace. Improve us with your good counsel, and save us for the sake of your name. Shield us, remove from us enmity, pestilence, war, hunger, and anguish. Let there be no evil before us or behind us. Protect us within the shadow of your wings, for you are our guardian and our helper, our divine ruler, merciful and gracious. Guard our going out and our coming into life and to peace, now and forevermore. Cover us with the sukkah of your peace. And blessed are you, Adonai, who spreads the sukkah of peace over us, over all the people of Israel, and over Jerusalem. On the bottom.
V'shamru b'nei Yisrael, et ha-Shabbat, la'asot, et ha-Shabbat, לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינחש, וביום השביעי שבת וינחש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
We rise together for tefillah on page 24.
Adonai, sifata tiftach ufi yagid ehilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, v'Elohei Avoteinu v'Imoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Agadol Ha'gibor v'Hanara, Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, v'Koneh HaKol, v'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו ואהבה. מלך חוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, וחיי מתים אתה, רב להושיע. מוריד הטל, מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומכהן אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בגבורות, ומי לא מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
You are holy, your name is holy, and each day holy ones praise your name. Blessed are you, the holy God. Please be seated. The bottom of page 29 of the great reading from Heschel that speaks to us, to the heart. The meaning of Shabbos is to celebrate time rather than space. 6 days a week we live under the tyranny of things in space. On Shabbat, we try to become attuned to the holiness in time. It's a day when we are called upon to share in what is eternal in time, to turn from the result of creation to the mystery of creation, from the world of creation to the creation of the world. The bottom of page 30, we continue. Desire Adonai, our God, your people Israel, and with love accept our prayers. And may the worship of Israel, your people, always be pleased in your sight. O God, who is close to all who cry out, Turn your face toward your servants and be gracious unto us. Pour out your Spirit upon us, and with mercy let our eyes behold your return to Zion. Blessed are you, Adonai, who restores divine presence to Zion. The top of page 35. Grant us peace, thy most precious gift, O thou eternal source of peace, and enable Israel to be its messenger unto the peoples of the earth. Bless our country, that ever be a stronghold of peace and its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within its borders, health and happiness within its homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among the inhabitants of all lands. Plant virtue in every soul. May the love of thy name hallow every home and every heart. Praise be thou, O Lord, giver of peace. Take a few moments for silent reflection. At this moment in our service, we take this sacred time to think of those who are in need of healing of body and spirit. On the Shabbat, we especially think of Eileen Johnson, Fred Friedman, Mike Friedman, Christy St. Charles, Don St. Charles, Kathy Platt Mendel, Mark Petrosky, Diane Larson, and Norris Friedman. If you're thinking of a loved one and wish to share a name out loud, please say that name at home or for our guests for the Shabbat, if anyone has names. Our Temple family is also sending our love to Cantor Robbie Whitner of the sudden passing of his grandmother. Just know your Temple family is here for you, and we have your back. Our prayer for healing is on page 38.
May the source of
Congregational and I also want to use this special time to congratulate our graduates. Last week, many of you were probably at Mountain Brook High School watching your daughter, grandkinder, celebrate a significant milestone filled with fireworks and heat, more than likely. But we're going to say the names again to honor their successes, whether they go to college or whether they are, maybe a little biased here, traveling to Eretz Israel to discover the roots of the tradition and hopefully enlist. I'm just kidding. Okay. So we want to congratulate Alex and Emily Bebenick, Addison and Mason Berger, Josh Bloomston, Laura Center, Morgan Cohn, Molly Frozen, James Goodman, Zachary Hagedorn, Josh Nemeth, Jamie Perlman, Zach Roberts, Hayden Robinson, Nathan Ruha, Nicholas Ryan Siegel, Lauren Sklar, Andrew Strickland, Lydia Watson, Aaron Wheel, and Clay Wheeler, and our college graduates, Ben and Rachel Honan, and any other name I want to make sure? Say it louder, Sharon. Harrison Ware. He's going to South Alabama in baseball, right? And med school, probably, right? Okay, congratulations. Okay, Congregational.
May you be blessed as you go on your way. May you be guided in peace. May you be blessed with health and joy. May this be your blessing. Amen.
Shabbat Shalom. When I wrote this drash, I wanted to speak directly to our graduates, those who are going off to college, university, or wherever they find learning, but I think the message itself can apply to our everyday lives. I think it complements both. One of the greatest teachings that I love comes from the great sage of the 20th century, the German Martin Buber, who believed that it is the duty of every person in Israel to know and to consider that one is unique in the world in one's particular character. That all of us here, all of us watching, everyone throughout the world, we are all special. And according to Buber, it's our obligation to figure out our talents, what makes us special, our uniqueness, things that drive us so that we can make the world a better place. And as much as we focus on the we, especially in Judaism, it's okay to focus on our talents. So for those going away and discovering their intellectual curiosities, I want you all to focus on yourself and take this time, even in today's life, to discover our talents, figure out what our interests are, love your passions, and figure out also your special characteristics. And then what Buber teaches the most is this idea to help others learn their passions, because so many times in life, people need to be picked up. And Judaism recognizes the religious and ethnic diversity, that each person is unique. And there's a great story from our rabbis, because they marveled that coins are minted from the same die and come out exactly the same. But the miracle of the human being is that while we're also cast from the same die, the original die of Adam, each person is unique and like any other. And therefore, each person has his or her own opinions, their own reflections, their own beliefs, and their own worldview. And so for those who are going off to the university and embark on the ethos of the ivory tower, we take our passions in order to learn. For someone like me and my wife, the library is a magical place. The ability to go there to study, and when you're in the classrooms, to learn from others, to be challenged with new ideas. And it's certainly okay to debate, even challenge. Debating with facts is fun. And remember what Judaism teaches us. Kol machloket shehem l'shem hashamayim. Any argument that is for the sake of heaven will endure forever. But we know this is easier said than done. You'll be challenged. You'll be challenged with facts that you didn't know, or things that you disagree with. You will come across a sea of professors, clubs, events that completely disagree with your worldview. You'll come across many students and professors who believe that what you say is not proper debate, but violates academic, and keep in mind, this is new terminology for me, safe space, or again, something called microaggressions. Again, totally new terms that did not exist when I went to college. And now, it's everywhere. College and life, especially in Judaism, is about learning and being challenged. We don't use our words to oppress others. We use our words and thoughts to see other possibilities. But I think, especially in the university, we have lost sight. And I want to read from you wise words from the former provost of Stanford University, John Etchemendy. He wrote, "Over the years, I've watched a growing intolerance at universities in this country. Intellectual intolerance, a political one-sidedness that is the antithesis of what universities should stand for. It manifests itself in many ways, in the intellectual monocultures that have taken over certain disciplines, in demands to disinvite speakers and outlaw groups whose views we find offensive, in constant calls for the university to take political stands. We decry certain news outlets as echo chambers, while we fail to notice the echo chamber we've built around ourselves. This results in the kind of intellectual blindness that will, in the long run, be more damaging to universities than cuts in federal funding or ill-conceived constraints on immigration. Intolerance will be more damaging because we won't even see it. We will write off those with oppressive views as evil, ignorant, or stupid, rather than interlocutors worthy of consideration. We succumb to all-purpose ad hominem attacks because it is easier and more comforting than rational argument. But when we do, we abandon what is great about the institution we serve. For us to succeed in college or in life, or perhaps dealing with that relative at Thanksgiving dinner, we need to allow for disagreements. It's Jewish, but the way we're going now will only create more division, pain, and we won't have any unity. These past weeks have been a crucial conversation about race, about justice, about apathy. It's also been about leadership, poor leadership, punditry, arrogance, and the lack of patience. I don't believe in speaking in platitudes or cliches, but for those going off to university or discovering who you are, I hate to say it, you are the future. But as we embark on new steps in our lives, remember the fundamental teaching of Judaism. It's not only the ability to learn, it's the ability to see the other side. It's to hear the other side. It's to feel the other side. There's a reason in our sacred Jewish literature that we record the minority opinion, because why? We are obligated to study it. Teaching, learning, and debate is all about the Jewish ethos. When we allow our own worldviews to take over those, this is how we create more pain, schisms, defeat, and no cohesive unit. So when you go off, keep your core, have your beliefs, remember to pivot, and it's okay to change your mind. Be respectful and be thankful, and know that learning is the embodiment of what Judaism is all about. And therefore, I want to leave you with a beautiful teaching that will give you inspiration and perhaps hope to our country in need. The Mishnah teaches us the first person was created alone for the sake of peace among humanity, so that no one can say to another, my ancestor was greater than yours. Learn, be humble, we are proud of you, have a good debate, but always say thank you. Shabbat Shalom. We turn to page 40 as we ride together for Olenia. Our thoughts turn to those who departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been to all of us and to all of humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love, the meaning of loss, the meaning of life, and the meaning of death. On this Shabbat, we recall the yortzites of Frank A. Abelson, A. Max Boxer, Esther Brodowski Brenner, Helen Kaufman Broda, Philip Bramex, Anna Paula Cohen, Harry Cohn, Leah Elsis, Irving Epsman, Lawrence Classer Falk, Pauline Hirsch Fine, Walter Gerson, Joyce Rutstein Gowan, Dave Handler, Marcia Goldberg Handler, Sadie Goldstein Jaffe, Annie Blackman Jaffe, Bernie Kahn, Morris Corpelis, Harry Cardis, Jack Cardis, Sybil Green Landau, Sybil Leaf, Irene Lebovich, Rosalind T. Levine, Jack J. Levinson, Mark Levine, Sadie Lux, Constance L. Melman, B.B. Miller, Morris M. Nelson, Sonia F. Olson, Dorothy Handler Aroden, Nathan Rotenstreich, Rose Tenenbaum Rotenstreich, Morris Rothman, Littleton Mitty Sharp, Terry Schneiderman, Armin Schwartz, Phil Seitel, Helen Snow Silver, Nettie Levine Sermon, Sherry Eben, Ray Weinstein, and Clara Bell Yaxley. And if anyone is recalling a yard site and you wish to share a name. And our heartfelt condolences in the recent passing of Joseph S. Tanner Sr., Sandra Scott Hulsey, and Ronald S. Cohen. We rise together as a sacred Kedusha, a sacred community. On Morris Kaddish on page 44. Yikadal, Yikadah, Shemei Rabbah. Amen. Yomad, Yivra, Chirote, Vamlit, Malchute. Dechayachon, Yomechon, Uvche, the Kol Beit Yisrael, Vagalau Isman Karim, Imru. Amen. Yehei, Shmei, Rabbah, Barach, Olam, Elohei, Almaya. Yitbarach, Yishabach, Yitbar, Yitramam, Yitnaseh, Vitadar, Vitalev, Vitalal, Shemei, Dehutsha. Ve'elah, Min Kol Birchata, V'shirata, Tushbekata, V'nechemata, Tamim Ram Yamav, Yimru. Amen. Yehei, Shlama, Rabba, Min Shemaya, V'chaim, Alenu, V'yakol, Yisrael, Yimru. Amen. Osei Shalom, Yimromav, V'yosei Shalom, Alenu, V'yakol, Yisrael, Yimru. Amen.
Me'imru, me'imru, me'imru.
Before we conclude with Osei Shalom on page 135, Monica, is it possible that once we're done with the services to play the video montage? Great, and we'll do that for a few times. Then after, do we have our oneg after?
Virtual oneg.
Virtual oneg with hosted by Dr. Al Cohen, and Mazel Tov to our new officers and Yashar Koach for those stepping off the board. And we conclude with the one who brings us peace.
Oseh Shalom B'Romav, V'yaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'avo Yisrael, Ve'imru, Amen. V'yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'avo Yisrael, V'yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'avo Yisrael, V'yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'avo Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'avo Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'avo
I get out there sometimes.
We couldn't help ourselves. Good night, guys. Good night. Good night. Yes. Good job, good night. Good night.
Good night, Paul. Good job.
But on the other hand, that's. Paul, good night. Good night. Thank you. Oh, Sherry.
Sir?
Sleep well tonight.
Pardon me?
Might have a cocktail even.
Yeah, you don't know what you want, so.
We had a bunch to catch up on,
Waiting
Paul.
for me.
No, you're using
Which
service.
one?
We have a bunch to catch up on when we get back to Congregational.
Oh, from Bricktown? All right, all right, all right. You said so. We were gonna. You know what?
Do I do the virtual